Hello everyone. So at the end of last year, I very rashly committed myself to painting something with a Napoleonic theme in 2020. I made the pledge on the Napoleonic Wargaming channel. I am really into Napoleonic Wargaming, even though I haven't done very much at all in the last few years. It was the first period of history that I did wargame properly, if you don't include all the airfix toy soldiers as a child and a boy. And yeah, I've kept maintained my interest in it, but I've just moved on to so many other different subjects, and as I say, I haven't done very much in the recent past. But I enjoy the Napoleonic Wargaming channel. I always watch it, and as I say, he wanted people to commit to doing something with the Napoleonic theme in 2020, and I've got a massive unpainted pile of Napoleonic figures and thought, well, what can I do? And as I'm unlikely to do anything wargaming wise with it, I thought I'd get out my command set from Wargames Foundry. It's Napoleon and Napoleon marshals and staff, and paint them. And the casting of Napoleon himself, seated with his leg on a drum, is directly copied from a painting by a Russian artist, Vasily Vereshchagin, who painted a whole series of paintings in the on the theme of 1812, and he painted them in 1893, and the picture that this references is titled Napoleon near Borodino. So I took that as my kind of inspiration and made this kind of it's almost like a diorama, but all the other figures I've based on either single, triple or double bases, so that they can be removed and used as separate command stands, because this is far too big to be used as a command stand in a game. But I thought I'd make a kind of little diorama out of it as well, do it that way. Yeah, fun to paint and do. I struggled a little bit in a number of ways. One was that the castings were pretty horrible, I have to admit. I've heard someone else make this remark about Wargames Foundry's Napoleonic range. I've never really come across it with their other ranges, but with this, I don't know whether it was, as well, it's because I purchased this group in the 1990s and maybe it's improved now, but I mean, it wasn't just a matter of there being excess metal. The metal was really thick, solid chunks that you would have to damage the figure to actually remove, and you just have to, a lot of it you just had to leave, really. And I won't draw your attention to it, but believe me, it's there. I struggled a bit with referencing the correct and appropriate colours and so on for some of the uniforms, and then I didn't have much reference material. I mean, I went back to my original Lydian and Fred Funkin books, and I was pleased to discover in there that they said with the ADCs in particular, this chap here is an ADC, that they did kind of invent, I think they described it as uniforms of their own confection. So in other words, I could be fairly free with my choice of colours, but other figures like the chasseur à cheval here, he's very odd because I would presume he is a chasseur à cheval of the guard, and yet he doesn't have a plume, and I'll show you him in close-up in a minute, but he's wearing his pelisse properly rather than over the left shoulder, and so I've never seen that actually depicted on an illustration before. And there are other figures in there, like an imperial orderly officer, and what do they call the other one, a staff assistant, and I kind of more or less invented their uniforms. I had some photograph. I had the photograph on the website to go by, and a photograph in a magazine to go by, and various other bits and pieces. And even with those, the way that the figures have been painted in the magazine differ from the way they're painted on the website. So, you know, what am I to do? But anyway, I was pleased with the way they turned out. Let's zoom in a little bit now and show you them in a little bit more detail. If I can. Try and get it in focus, maybe. Right, so this group here is a group of three. Marshal Berthier, Marshal Grouchy at the back reading a map, and an ADC, and I've lifted those colours straight from the Funken book because they do have an illustration of an ADC described as ADC to Marshal Berthier in those colours. So that's one little group. So you've got here the chasseur cheval, as I say, is a little bit odd. Roustan, the Mameluke, Napoleon's Mameluke servant, and the man himself there, sat with his leg on a drum, watching the battle from a distance. Good. Apologies, it's difficult to see if these are in focus, but I think that is now. So that is Mortier, Marshal Mortier, with an imperial orderly officer beside him. This one here is standing on his own is Marshal Victor, and then you have Marshal Ney. Here's the figure pointing, and the other one next to him is the staff assistant. And then at the back there is Marshal Savary. If I zoom out a little bit, you'll see the whole piece there. So I kind of took it that Napoleon was on a bluff rather than on a top of a cliff edge. So it's just a sort of little bit of polystyrene, and I used, it's quite plain on the painting, so I've just represented the short grass with sawdust scatter, and then used some white flock. Forget where I got it from, but it was a mixture of dark green and white flock, so I used that to represent the white flowers that are on the painting. But that's probably all the Napoleonic Wargaming figures that I'm going to paint this year. But anyway, I feel I've honoured my pledge. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Bye for now.